Hibernian.
Dundee! Come on, Dundee!
Hearts!
Come on, Inverness! Come on, the Kelly!
Come on, the Whale! Come on, the Staggies!
Come on, St Mirren!
Raised in Midlothian, a lifelong Hearts fan, captain of the club at 21, and now interim manager. Gary Locke has the heart of Midlothian in his blood. There's turmoil on and off the pitch, but there's nothing like Derby Day to get Hearts pumping.
Edinburgh's fierce rivals go head-to-head. This is the biggest derby in Scotland right now. Capital showdown. Full of hustle and bustle. The ups and downs, the highs and lows of football. In a state of euphoria, in a state of despair. The agony and the ecstasy.
Hibernian haven't beaten their rivals in the league in 12 attempts. It's a woeful record, but they haven't lost in the 3 meetings this season. The 2 in the SPL ended even, and they beat the holders in the Scottish Cup. Kevin Thompson is signed and on the bench. We're live in Scotland's capital for all the drama of the Clydesdale Bank Premier League's oldest derby, enjoyed in outstanding high definition on Sky Sports 1 HD, and mobile users can access it on Sky Go. It's the Deja Vu Derby. Yet again, Hearts have sacked a manager, and once more we ask if Hibernian can beat their big rivals in the league for the first time since 2009. We're joined by the last Hibs player to score a hat-trick in this fixture. Mixu Patalainen also has the honour of being the manager of that last team to beat Hearts in the SPL 4 years ago. Our other guest played at both ends of Edinburgh. Michael Stewart, spell at Easter Road, was sandwiched in between 2 spells at Tynecastle. Gentlemen, good to see you both today. Mixu, which of these 2 teams is the favourite this time?
Well, when you look at the form and when you look at the last matches and this season, obviously Hibs they've had the better season so far. Hearts, on the other hand, have not had the best of seasons so far, but they have a new manager in charge now, Gary Locke. I think he gets the team going. I think he gets the players out there, especially derby days, because Gary is all about Hearts and all about jumbo spirit, especially against Hibs. So as always, derby matches are like cup matches. It's difficult to predict. If you look at the form, Hibs, but I don't know. So possibly Hibs with a narrow margin.
That'll be a long time since anybody said that Hibs were favourite going into a derby. Do you think they've recovered, Michael, from the mental scarring suffered in the 5-1 Derby Cup final defeat?
I think slowly but surely they've tried to put that to bed. It'll take a very long time to get over the drubbing that they got in the cup final. But I think it's been noticeable, Pat Fenlon's philosophy in the derbies since then, very much a don't get beat type mentality that has made maybe the games not the most enjoyable to watch at times. But hopefully, I think it's been 3 derby games since then, and hopefully Hibs have taken a bit of sort of confidence from that, and they can try to be a bit more expansive.
It's been 12 games without a win in the SPL for Hibernian since you were in charge, Mixu. Will it be lucky 13? I mean, what's been missing? What do they need to show that they haven't in those 12 games?
Well, it's, obviously every match is unique. What happens in it, but all in all, you almost feel like coming to the derby match, Hearts are always more up for it. Of course, deep down, Hibs players in the Hibs dressing room, they are ready and they, psych themselves up and, let's go and, come on, let's win this one especially. But out there on the pitch, Hearts are normally more physical. They really bring that derby spirit into the matches. Well, history tells you Hearts are more physical side. Anyway, Hibs are more passing the ball and finesse type of team. But so possibly because of that, if you win your battles, if you win your 1-against-1s like Hearts do very often, you win the match. So possibly that has been the case.
Now, Lee Griffiths is the top goal scorer in the SPL, but he's only scored 1 goal in 7 derby appearances. Why is that, and how do Hibernian get more involved now?
Well, I think one of Lee's strengths is that he likes to run in behind defences and catch teams on the counter attack. And when it comes to derby games, it's very difficult to have a pattern to the game. And maybe that space that we see here that he likes to exploit. Maybe he's not got that in the derby games, or maybe it's just a coincidence that he's not managed to score, and he may well do it today. But I think in the derby games there's a lack of space that is a real strength of Lee's. He exploits that very well.
Mixu, a lot of people want to see him playing for Scotland, of course, but if you stop Griffiths, do you stop Hibs?
Yes, I think so. He's vitally important for the team. The way he runs, his work rate, and also link-up play. He's not a bad link-up player either. Play ball to him, he will drop it off to the midfielder, and then he spins and gets behind the defence. But he's got so many goals this season. He's got so many vitally important goals this season. If you stop Griffiths, you're more than halfway there stopping Hibs.
Well, this is Pat Fenlon's 5th attempt to beat Hearts in the SPL. He did it in the Cup, of course. Gary Locke played Hibs in 10 derbies and didn't lose any of them. The managers are chatting to Luke Chantley.
Pat, Hibs are the favourites going into today's game. Is that a tag you welcome?
Yeah, it means we're getting better, obviously. We haven't gone into too many games as favourites against Hearts, so it's a game we're looking forward to as well.
You've successfully deployed Lee Griffiths in the lone striker role. Is that something you go along and do the same today?
Yeah, it's a similar team. The players have played really well over the last couple of games, so we'll give them another opportunity today to go and express themselves and play. Kevin
Thompson's on the bench. Were you tempted to throw him into the starting lineup?
No, like I said, the players that have played have earned the right to hold on to the shirt at the moment, and they've played really well, so it's been difficult to change that team.
Gary is a Hearts fan, former player, first team coach, and now interim manager. What does this day mean to you?
Yeah, it means everything. Everybody knows in the city how big a game this is, and if we can get 3 points today, then we'd all be delighted.
What have you said to your players, given there's been a lot of changes at Hearts over the last couple of weeks?
Just to give us the same type of performance as last week on Tuesday night. They've all worked hard. We were well organised, and we managed to get a victory on Tuesday. So if we can get that today, we'll all be over the moon.
How do you stop Lee Griffiths?
Well, he's on fire at the moment. I watched him last week and he's playing very well. A wee bit unfortunate not to get in the Scotland squad, but I'm pretty sure that if he keeps playing like that, it won't be long before he gets into the squad.
Enjoy today, Gary.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, Gary. Thanks.
Gary Locke there, the interim manager of Hearts. Peter Houston says that he's been talking to Hearts and expects to talk to them in the next couple of days again. Will that be an unwelcome distraction for Gary, or will he be totally focused on the derby given his background?
I think he'll be totally focused on the game in hand at the moment. But looking a little bit further afield, I'm pretty sure that Gary will have his eye on the job. And I think, from Hearts' perspective, I don't see what the urgency is to appoint somebody before the end of the season. I think they've got Gary in place at the moment, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't allow him to take the team forward until the end of the season. They're not going to get relegated. They're not going to get in the top 6. So I think it's an opportunity to give Gary the time to see what he can do.
He's made a decision already, and that is to bring back John Sutton, who's rewarded him with a goal in his 2 games in charge. How significant is the return of Sutton, do you feel, to Hearts' chances in this one, Mixer?
Well, very important. You only have to look at the last match against St Johnstone. He's since Gary Locke came in the manager's chair. John Sutton has been in the starting lineup again. Previously, was it 6 or 7 matches he didn't start. Results were poor. When you look at Sutton, he's an out-and-out goal scorer, and he's somebody who ties up the centre halves. That allows the other strikers, the other offensive midfielders, room to operate and brings in other ones. But John Sutton is a bully. He's an old type centre forward who scores with his head, who scores scrappy goals off his thighs and stuff like that. But he also supplies loads of goals. His aerial ability is vitally important for Hearts. Then you have nippy players in goal, Tawil running off him, for example. And that is a very, very difficult strike force to have.
Well, hopefully we'll see goals then in the absence of the Old Firm game at the moment. This is the biggest derby in the SPL. Here in Edinburgh, there's never been any doubt about that since these clubs first met up in the Meadows back in 1877. Today it's Easter Road Stadium and it's live. Derby Day in Scotland's capital city, live from Easter Road Stadium now. Commentators Neil McCann and Ian Crocker.
Thank you, David. Hibs and Hearts continue their battle for power in the Scottish capital. Edinburgh's great rivals meet for the fourth and possibly final time this season. After 2 draws in the SPL derbies and a rare Hibs win in the Scottish Cup, what next? Hearts stopped the rot of 5 straight defeats with a midweek victory over St Johnstone. Hibs have been off the boil in the SPL 2, just 1 win in 8. Both teams struggling for form in the league. What better way to lift your spirits than by beating your rivals? Unsurprisingly, Hibs named the same side that beat Kilmarnock in the Cup last Sunday. Lee Griffiths had been going through a minor barren spell prior to the last Edinburgh derby. Not so this time. 7 goals in his last 5 games. He has been immense. There's a first taste of this derby for Scott Robertson and Matt Doan. Alan Mabry has played for both sides of the Edinburgh divide. Paul Hanlon and Tim Clancy are still sidelined. Hearts are forced to change the side that beat St Johnstone midweek because Darren Barr is suspended after racking up 6 yellow cards. Callum Tapping comes in. There are Edinburgh derby initiations for Tapping, for Fraser Mullen and for on-loan Liverpool pair Danny Wilson and Michael Ngoo. An extensive casualty list includes Zaliukas, Robinson, Patterson, Hamill, Granger and McGowan. Kevin Thompson is on the bench after rejoining Hibs 6 years after he left them. Owen Doyle has come on in the last 4 matches. A young Hearts bench includes Gordon Smith, who scored in an Edinburgh derby 3 years ago. Lee Griffiths is officially flying, having scored in the last 5 matches, including a hat-trick in the Cup at Kilmarnock. But Michael Ngoo has made an impression at Hearts after joining on loan from Liverpool. He's been watching YouTube clips of the Edinburgh derby to get him in the mood, and he's definitely in the mood. Pat Fenton hasn't lost an Edinburgh derby this season. Gary Locke, in interim charge of Hearts, never lost one as a player. The referee is Ewan Norris. It's his first Edinburgh derby, and he's about to get us going in what is now a sunny Edinburgh after a morning of snowstorms and hailstorms. When these two last met at New Year, it was a rather cautious affair.